sauce. Spill that drip, I wipe it off. $1 million worth of game. Can't feel that I work too hard. Poetry on any.
What's good? What's good? It's your boy Dope Boy Diesel back in the Doja room once again, running on 5 hours of sleep or less. But I'm here nonetheless to deliver and serve this news, serve these topics, roll up a blunt, of course, and break down what's really going on in hip hop for you guys. Now, as I said, I'm running on about 5 hours of sleep for the last 2 days, but it's just a heavy hip hop week. It's so much going on. It seems like if you go to sleep, you might miss the next biggest story. So I've been doing my due diligence and I've been putting out some articles for you guys, doing all of that good stuff. So I hope you guys appreciate it. I hope you guys continue to keep on tapping in. Real quick, I heard a couple of you sent me a DM. A couple of people reached out about the intro to the Doja Room. Okay, the intro. A couple of you really fuck with the intro, and I appreciate that. I really do. Okay, if you like the intro to the Doja Room, that is called Special Sauce by yours truly, Dope Boy Diesel. Okay, so you can find that on all platforms. If it's catchy, you feel like you fucking with it. I had a couple of people reach out to me and ask me where to find it so far. So I feel like I might have some like minded people in the audience who might want to fuck with that. But yeah, that's the intro song. If you fuck with it, go ahead and do that. So let's get into it. To all my stoners, hippies, and hip hop enthusiasts, welcome to the Doja Room. Let's get into it. Roll up your blunt, get relaxed, get set. We off today. We off today. There ain't no working tonight. So we about to kick back, roll up something nice, extra fat this morning, and we're gonna break down exactly what has been going on in hip hop and the craziness that broke last night. Now, I mean, there's no need for us to even take any more time. DDG, who's been on a, a quite a run at the peak of his career right now, just dropped an album that's doing pretty well for his standards, despite what perception around or first reactions might be. He is getting slapped with a restraining order by Haley Bailey or Holly Bailey. Y'all know I be fucking up her name a little bit, so you know what I mean? You gotta bear with me. Cause y'all know I be fucking up her name just a tad bit. Now hold on, let me make sure we in full motion. Yes, we are. Okay, so last night I see this news and already I'm like, restraining order. That sounds familiar. So, and we break it down and really get into exactly what is going on with this restraining order. So let me read a little bit of the article again. You can find all my articles. This is an article by me for you. So if you want to find an article here on X, that's for the people, by the people, you know what I'm saying, type of shit. No narrative spinning and stuff like that. Please tap in with your boy. You can just hop into my profile, go to the article section, and all of my articles will be there. Okay, so let's jump into this one. It says, Holly Bailey and DDG's post-breakup drama has taken a dark turn, with the singer and actress securing a domestic violence restraining order against the rapper following allegations of multiple physical attacks. The legal battle centered around their 18-month-old son, Halo, has exposed a troubling rift between the former couple, raising questions about the co-parenting, public personas, and the toll of their highly publicized split. So let's get into this violent encounter that everybody seems to be breaking down and talking about this morning and last night. So according to court documents, the tension between Holly Bailey and DDG escalated in January, months after their breakup in October 2024. The incident occurred when DDG arrived at Holly Bailey's residence to pick up their son, Halo. Holly attempted to discuss child visitation, their child visitation schedule, hoping to establish a co-parenting arrangement. However, the conversation quickly turned hostile. Okay? So basically, from what I got from the reading, okay, let me roll this blunt up. Hold on. We got to multitask here. We got to multitask because this shit is real. Okay, I came in with the. I'm only off 5 hours of sleep in the last 2 days, and we came with that energy because it just calls for it. Okay, it just calls for it because this shit is wild. So you got let's really break this down for the niggas because we know we not born yesterday. We, you know what I'm saying, we've dealt with shorties, we've had our back and forths with bitches, with young women, with whatever stage of life we dealt with them at. But we can kind of read between the lines when we're hearing stuff like this. At least the smart people, now y'all are broken up. Let's set the stage. Y'all are broken up, and you figure you want to have a conversation about co-parenting and, setting up visitation, this, that, the third, whatever. There's so much context being left out. Now let's just break down what I just mentioned, right? There's not any mention of anything being said that may be unfavorable, because from what I've seen, and just from the Kai Cenat situation where she blew up about Halo being on stream, and the internet basically tapped that ass back and put her back in her place, and she's been disgruntled about that ever since. But from that situation, you can see that she has in her head some type of, idea of how much power she should have with her child and how much power DDG should have with that same child that he also made. And when you start looking at it from that angle, when you start looking at these patterns of behavior, because at the end of the day, I'm not here to defend DDG. I'm not here to defend DDG. I'm not here to sing his praises. I'm not here to say what he did or didn't do. But I am going to read between the lines here. I am going to call out bullshit when I feel like I'm hearing some bullshit, when I feel like somebody's trying to pull the wool over my eyes. And at the end of the day, I look at this as almost as low-hanging fruit, almost as Haley punching down. This is an easy alley-oop for all the bitches and your fans who've been hating DDG. I mean, right before this, you had them calling for the man's death, wishing death on the man, hoping that he died and met an untimely end. This is the fan base that she fosters, never corrects, never puts them in their place. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like that might have played a pivotal role also in their career, or in their relationship. I feel like it was a possibility that it may have played a pivotal role. Now, when you have a woman like this who feels like she has more say so and more control than you, and like I said, it seems like the internet just smacked her ass in her place. They called her out. They called her out on the bullshit. Like, what are you getting mad for? What are you upset about? What are you really upset about? This is not a stranger. This is the child's father. This is not somebody who's just, fucking off with the kid, doesn't have the kid's best interest as at heart. This is the kid's father. So, when you start doing these weird things like that, it starts to look weird. People start to call it out. And on top of that, this is a black man who wants to be in his kid's life. And the fact that you would be willing to stand in the middle of that, it's just weird to me. It is weird to me. Now, as I said, let's get back to setting the stage, right? Because you have DDG, he's packing up his things. She's probably and let's just be real. We all know, real niggas, we know. If you my niggas listening right now, we know what a nagging ass bitch brings with her. Okay? You can be beautiful, you can be ugly, you can be anywhere in between. But a bitch who likes to nag, a bitch who wants everything in the right oh no, no, you gave him the blue sippy cup. He's supposed to have the red one on Saturdays. Oh no, you're supposed to tie his shoe like this. Oh no, you're not supposed to brush his hair to the yes, that's the type of bitch Halle Bailey is. I can look at her and see it. I don't need to know her. I'm telling you. I'm telling you, that's the type of bitch he's dealing with. That's the type of bitch he's dealing with. A super meticulous, she wants to micromanage you on your time with your child, on top of letting him see, letting you see him whenever she feels like it, writing down a list of rules that she feels like you have to follow, as if you need her coaching or something like that, when it should be a team effort. Don't get me wrong, it should be a team effort. It's a child that you both made. If the mother has wishes for the child, it should be acknowledged. I'm not saying that we shouldn't acknowledge that. If the father has wishes for his child, it shall also be acknowledged, though. You feel me? So in this dynamic, I feel like Shorty took advantage of people not fucking with him, because let's be real, unless you're a DDG fan, or a nigga, I guess, you wasn't really fucking with homie. Like, if you a shorty, if you on her side of the internet, or on a certain side of the internet, who loves to get triggered by shit like this, who just sit and watch on their bedside, their empty bedsides at that, and wait on news of a black man dying, a black man abusing somebody so they can cancel him, a black man doing anything so they can just end his life. They sit here and they wait for that. They wait for it. And with them doing that, as I said, it makes it easier for Holly to paint these narratives, right? So if y'all are already in this space of disagreement, we already know she's a bitch who wants to micromanage. She wants to nag you. She wants to tell you how to do. First of all, shorty, and let me just say this: if it was me, I don't need your help buckling this nigga into the car. That's number one. I don't need your help to do that. I don't need your help to carry him. I don't need you to bring anything. I don't need you to buckle him in. But as I said, she seems like the type of joint to be like, oh, let me do it. I want to make sure it's done the right way. I want to make sure he's strapped down right. Please don't be driving fast. Oh my God. Oh my God. You're doing 40 miles per hour. Please. The kid is in the backseat. Yeah, yeah. That's who he's dealing with. That's who he's dealing with. That's who he's dealing with. So yeah, like, nigga, you sitting in here trying to talk to me about, oh, well, I want to make sure because I gotta do this and I gotta do that. And DDG probably like, yo, yeah. I'm not trying to talk about all of this right now. I'm trying to get my son. I'm trying to bounce. Okay? I'm not trying to talk with you. I'm not trying to have a discussion and we break down all of this shit, because at the end of the day, it seems like with them being broken up, their discussions haven't been getting anywhere. You know what I'm saying? It hasn't been getting anywhere. And I can only imagine, again, I'm not here to run interference for DDG, but I'm just interpreting this as I hear it, in what seems like it actually makes sense to me in what actually happened. Now, while you have all of this going on and tensions are steadily rising. It says Hallie alleges that she was buckling Halo into his car seat. DDG became agitated. Doesn't say why he became agitated. Repeatedly shouting, "Get out of my car, bitch." With their baby crying and DDG's anger intensifying, Holly grew concerned about him driving off with a Halo in such a volatile state. What follows, she claims, was a physical altercation that left her injured and traumatized. The court filings detail a violent struggle in which DDG allegedly pulled Hallie's hair, slammed her face into the steering wheel, and chipped her tooth. Now, automatically, women are just gravitate. Like I said, they just gravitate towards this shit. They eat it up. They automatically are just like, oh yeah, he did it. Yeah. Oh yeah, it's believable. And it's just like, okay, how did you go from buckling the kid up, which was obviously in the back seat, to you're somewhere at the steering wheel? So that tells me that at some point you finished buckling him in and DDG was trying to fucking leave. That nigga was trying to leave. What were you doing at the steering wheel? That's just what I get at first glance, just thinking about it. I said, well, damn. How did you go from the back seat, buckling him in, and then all of a sudden the nigga's bashing your face in? I hate when motherfuckers play this game of picking and choosing what you add and what you leave out. And no, if you're going to tell the story, bitch, tell the whole story. Now we need to know the whole story. We need to really break this down. But it seems like she took this opportunity to go say, hey, all right, let me skirt off, and you know what I'm saying? Let me do my work to make sure that he's fucked. Let me make sure he's in a position. Let me make sure that he is in a position to where he can't just do what he wants to do. He's going to be at my mercy. Him, not only that, his career. I mean, think about how far the shit is going. So she sat there and said, well, no, nigga, you're going to be at my mercy. And that's how I took it. But as I said, I digress. How do you end up at the front seat getting your head bashed in? To me, that sounds like, yes, I believe there was a struggle for Halo. I believe that somewhere in the process, she may have, and see, this is a female tactic, okay? This is a female tactic. And this isn't to throw shade at anybody or whatever, but this is just what females do. To understand and interact and to, you know, navigate females, you have to know how they act. You have to know the tactics and things that they do and pull. You have to know when to hold them and when to fold them. You got to know which battles to fight and when to say, you know what, bitch, you got it. Because there's no way in life, as this situation you see that DDG is in, there's no way in life I win this one. Okay? You are going to make sure you lie, cheat, and steal to make sure that the truth is fuck all. So when she uses the tactics of she was concerned about him driving off with Halo in such a volatile state, right? She was concerned. So Holly, what did you do with that with that concern? What did you do in result? That's the big part that we're leaving out here. She said she grew concerned about him driving off with Halo in such a volatile state. So obviously DDG felt he was fine enough to leave your presence and go on about his business with him and his child. But you felt like he wasn't in a condition to leave like that. So my question now, and the question that so many people are not asking is, Haley, what did you do to try to make sure that DDG didn't leave in a quote unquote volatile state? What did you do? What did you say? Are you mean to tell me you just used some words? Because we're not getting anything here. We're not getting anything from that. Because you obviously felt she grew concerned and this and that. Where did the altercation start? How do we go from that to altercation in the front seat? This is why I say it sounds to me like she went to the front seat and tried to physically stop DDG from driving off with their child. Either that or she tried to then take Halo out, or maybe unlock the car to get Halo out. You know what I'm saying? I feel like if anything, DDG most definitely probably strong-armed her, manhandled her a little bit. He probably most definitely did that. I believe he most likely definitely, grabbed her up, hemmed her up, and probably moved her out the way, pushed her aside. I believe that. I believe that happened. Do I believe that he grabbed her by the hair and proceeded to slam her head against a steering wheel? Fuck no. Fuck no. You sound crazy. Fuck no. I just don't believe that. I don't believe that happens to Halle Bailey and she doesn't immediately run to the police. I don't believe that. I'm sorry. I'm calling cap. Did an altercation happen? Yes. Did a physical altercation happen? Precisely. Most likely it did. Did it happen in the way that she described it? No. Not at all. Negative. I feel like I said, DDG might have put hands on her, and when I say put hands on her, maybe arms, grabbing arms, physically moving you out the way while you're trying to fight your way into my car and stop me from leaving because you just changed your mind for whatever reason and felt like you were going to give me a hard time today while I'm trying to leave and not be around you, not hear nothing that you got. When you done dealt with a nagging ass bitch, when you done dealt with a micromanaging ass bitch who want to sit here and micromanage you and everything, the last thing you want to do is sit here and have a conversation. She holding you up, holding you hostage at this point, holding you up. You can't go nowhere. You got to sit here and try to listen and hear her out. And 9 times out of 10, anything she's saying is some complete bullshit anyway, right? It's some complete bullshit because from what I've seen, she's a completely irrational human being when she wants to be. When it came down to, like I said, the Kai Cenat situation and him bringing Halo on stream, that told me, oh, okay, you're completely unhinged. Like you don't mind sitting in front of the world and saying things that are just completely irrational, completely unhinged, talking about how you don't want your baby on stream while you and your sister get to parade him around whenever the fuck y'all feel like it. It's just weird. Now, if you weren't the type of person to show Halo or anything like that, it'd have been different. But you show your son is a meme. Your son is literally a meme. So it makes me think that Shorty is more and more illogical, irrational with her thought process. So the last thing that I want to do with a woman like that, what do y'all think? Y'all think I want to sit here and listen to her and we sit here and discuss visitation? You think I want to discuss visitation with you? You think I want to discuss the terms that you lay about and what you want to do, or else you're going to galvanize your fans against me every time there's a disagreement? You're gonna cry wolf. You're gonna say that I'm doing all of these things just because you don't want to see me with my son. It's weird behavior. You are black. Y'all are black. Y'all are black. We can fight about so many things. Everybody ain't perfect, but one thing that we should be able to agree on is that if a black man wants to see his fucking son, why the fuck is there any type of argument, disagreement, fighting? Like, bitch, the fuck is you talking about? This kid ain't going nowhere. You his mother. You are not going to. You in a way better position than being a father. You in a way better position than being a father. So what's your issue? For real, like it's like nah, it's like for real, like what is your issue? And I feel like DDG is just not with all her fuckery. He's just not with all her fuckery. Like, all due respect, I would never date a woman like her. I don't give a fuck how good she looked. I don't give a fuck if it was her herself. You told me right now, you got the opportunity to date Holly Bailey. I'll tell you, fuck no. Hell no. Sometimes pretty bitches ain't nothing but a headache. Sometimes pretty bitches, beautiful bitches, 9s, 10s, shit, even 8s, ain't nothing but a fucking headache sometimes. And that's cool. Everybody has the right to live their life how they want to live it. But I don't got to be subject to it. I don't got to listen to that shit. I feel like that's what DDG feels. It's just that simple. This whole thing, it seems like to me, is just being blown out of proportion. It's being blown out of proportion to a whole different scale. And, I mean, it's unfortunate because I thought that I was rooting for them and I really wanted them to ignore the noise and to continue to, display some black excellence, a beautiful black relationship. You know what I'm saying? And all the times DDG would ride out, crash out for Shorty. All the times he would sit there and still call for niggas to treat her with the utmost respect. You know what I'm saying? When he probably knows she don't deserve it at any given moment. It's like I was rooting for them to figure shit out. I was rooting for them to figure shit out, but unfortunately, you know what I'm saying, Brent Fires and slid up in there. And she having whole vacations with Brent Fires in her bed. Just imagine that. Just imagine that. You telling me I can't do this and that with my son and bring him here and there, but you can bring him out with a whole degenerate ass rapper, singer, whatever, artist, fly to Turks, and do your big one. Be chilling. But you want to micromanage me. You want to micromanage me and how I handle my son and what I do. No. Hell no. Fuck no. It don't work like that. It just don't work like that. Niggas is not with it. We not. It just seems weird to me. So let's get through to some of the rest of this stuff. It says she stayed in the car during. Hold up. The court filings detail a violent struggle in which DDG allegedly pulled her hair, slammed her face into the steering wheel, and chipped her tooth. Holly describes being in pain and crying during the incident, which only paused when the fighting momentarily stopped. Despite her injuries, her primary concern was remained Halo's safety. For what? What is he gonna do? What is he gonna do? Bitch, go on about your business. De-escalate the situation. Take your ass in the house. Let me take my son and get the fuck out of my face. The fuck is you talking about? Like, what the fuck? Like, is this shit rocket science? What was you in this nigga's face for to begin with? Why are you trying to talk to him? He obviously not trying to talk to you, so leave it alone. Let him go on his visit, and y'all go on about y'all motherfucking business. Talk at a time where things can be more cordial, more reciprocal, and y'all don't got to do all of this shit. Despite her injuries, her primary concern remained Halo's safety. She stayed in the car during the drive to DDG's house, where she informed his family of the altercation. After ensuring Halo would be cared for, Holly left the residence hysterical with visible bruises on her arms and a chipped tooth. She later submitted photos of her injuries as part of her request. So let's go down and talk about the pattern of clubs. We're going to be fair. We're going to break down everything that I found and I researched and that was presented to me as what was in the filings and stuff like that. So Holly's allegations paint a picture of a strained and volatile dynamic with DDG since their breakup. Sources close to the situation suggest that this wasn't the first instance of physical conflict between the two. Now we got to really break it down and evaluate everything if this is not a one-off situation. With Holly claiming in her filings that DDG had attacked her multiple times. The January incident, however, appears to have been a breaking point, prompting her to seek legal protection for herself and her son, even though it's 4 or 5 months later. Okay. I guess that was the breaking point, though. Sorry, we gotta hit the Doja. We gotta hit the Doja. I hope y'all rolling up. I hope y'all smoking. It is that time. Wake and bake. Okay. Unless you going to work, get your ass to work. Okay. You can still listen in, but take your ass back to work. All right. It says beyond the physical allegations, Hallie also accused DDG of using his platform to publicly disparage her. She claims that the rapper has been whipping his fans. I'm sorry, I'm a little tired. Like I said, 5 hours of sleep, guys. Less than that. I'm sitting here like, what the fuck did I write? Whipping his fans into a frenzy by trashing her during his live streams, further exacerbating the tension between them. This online behavior, according to Haley, has not only damaged her reputation, sure, okay, but also heightened the emotional strain of their co-parenting struggles. Mm. Mm-mm-mm. I know DDG need one of these. So the court's decision. So a judge granted Holly Bailey's a domestic violent restraining order, imposing strict conditions on DDG. The rapper is now required to stay 100 yards away from Holly and has been ordered to cease posting or streaming about her and her child. Now, this is cold right here because this makes it so the man can't even defend himself. This is Tory Lanez 2.0, and y'all know who's behind this. Y'all know who's behind this. As Jay-Z said, it's the rock in the building. Okay? All I'm going to say is it's the rock in the building. All right? As Jay-Z said. And so the court has also Halo is nearly 18 months old and has been the center of this dispute, with both parents navigating the challenges of co-parenting under public scrutiny. Holly's decision to remain in the car despite her injury, underscores her determination to protect her child, even in the face of alleged violence. A high profile split under scrutiny. So Holly Bailey and DDG's relationship has been in the spotlight since they began dating, since damn near before, it seems like. Just talking to who I was talking to last night, who knows a little bit more about their, whole relationship and who's watched their entire thing. Even they don't see DDG doing something like this, you know, and the whole situation seems to be something that has been given to the hands of Rock Nation, and we know what they're going to do with it. We know what they're going to do with it. So, what's next in this? It says as Holly prepares to travel to Italy with Halo for her upcoming film project, the restraining order provides a temporary reprieve from the conflict with DDG. However, the long-term impact of this legal battle remains uncertain. Co-parenting under such circumstances will likely require further mediation, and the public nature of their dispute may continue to fuel speculation and debate among fans, of course, because we're going to talk about it. We've been talking about it this entire time. So, you know, I don't know where they crossed into this territory of accusations and she said, he said, and all everything in between, but it's just a shame that they had to go down this route. It's just really a shame. And I really think it's fucked up that number one, it can be fucked up in two ways. Number one, if this is true and it happened as she said it happened, but well, vaguely so, because you can't really say as she said it happened because this is a very vague statement if you're reading it right. Then DDG is fucked up. But if you are using this situation and blowing it out of proportion and you're using it to paint this picture of DDG being some kind of monster because that's just the trendy thing to do with black men these days, then she's definitely fucked up. She's definitely a horrible fucking person. Now, I'm going to save my, like I said, my full on judgment for more information to roll out. And trust me, we will be keeping up with everything rolling out here uh, in the Doja room. So we're gonna keep up with this one and see what happens. It seems like DDG has, taken a step back from social media and everything like that to maybe try to handle this. Um, I think if this is not true, he should most definitely 100% prepare a defamation lawsuit and do his due diligence to go ahead and fight this. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead and fight it if this is not true. But we got to sit here and wait for more information to come out. And now we have to now learn what was the true dynamic of this relationship. You know what I'm saying? Now we really got to get into it and break down what was really going on behind closed doors on a day-to-day basis and what their relationship was really like and try to paint the picture of what's true and what's not. And unfortunately, that's what we got to do. Okay? So let's get on to the main event, what we have to talk about. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to pick up exactly where we left off yesterday. Exactly where we left off yesterday. So if you were following everything with the trial and what's been going on, we've been getting live updates. Cassie Ventura has taken the stand, and we left off. I'm going to jump right into it to catch us up to what's going on today. And it seems like, you know, I believe, as I said, this is the defense questioning her, and they haven't even had a chance to cross-examine and, have the prosecution come in yet. Okay, so this has just been one side questioning her for the entire day or half a day. And so we're gonna pick up, I'm guessing, today in the today's trial, which is day 3. This is just a day 2 recap. But I'm guessing we're gonna continue to question Cassie today and see what else she has to offer, and then also get questioning from the prosecution. Okay, so we're going to continue, as I said, right where we left off yesterday. I'm going to pick up right here. So it says, how did you make money? If your records were being released, if your records weren't being released. She says, I did hostings parties when Sean approved of them. What comments did Sean make about your physical appearance? That I looked too Mexican with my hair like that. This is what Cassie said. He says, how did he like your nails? White, French tipped. They said hair. It varied. I shaved my head in 2009. She says, your body. He says, he told me to work out, prepare for the freak offs. Diddy wanted her in shape for the freak offs, okay? How did you feel about his comments? Ventura says it varied. She says, what else did Sean pay for? She said, cars. Um, did he give you any cash? She said, yes, but he would take things away depending on how he felt. What else would he take away? She says, my self-confidence. He says, who would take things away? She said, staff. I assume staff, she says. I guess she corrected herself. The defense says objection. Judge says jury will disregard that last answer. So, okay, this is the prosecution questioning her. I'm sorry. So it says who took, I guess this is a typo, who took your laptop and phone? She says security. Says, how long would they be gone for? She says, however long I was being punished for. So she was being treated like a straight child. Like this was Diddy's child. Taking phones, money, cars, you on punishment. She was being put on punishment. They said, how often were you in contact with Sean's staff? She says daily. They said, who are you? They asked, who are you in these? Who are in these photos? She says Christina Coram and Miss Fletcher. They asked, what did you call Miss Coram? She answers KK. They asked, who is this? She says D-Rock. He was Sean's security. They asked, who frequently were you in Sean's residence? Oh, how frequently were you in Sean's residence? I'm sorry. She says all the time. How did they have, did they have safes? She says yes. She says, what did you observe in them? Cash, jewelry, cameras, and videotapes, guns in New York, LA, in Miami, and Alpine, New Jersey. They asked, do you recall an incident between Sean and Suge Knight? She says, yes, we were having a freak off in LA. D-Rock came in and said Suge was down at a dinner. Sean drove over there. They asked, what was your reaction? She says, I cried, said, don't do something stupid. They asked, were you ever handed a gun? She says, yes, we were going to a club in downtown LA. We taking mushrooms. I was high. I was told to put the gun in my bag. I was freaking out. They asked who was present. She says a driver, security, and Sean. They then ask, another time I saw, oh no, she adds, another time I saw them get dressed and grab guns and leave in an SUV. Holy shit. She snatching. She snatching. Okay, they gonna get Diddy on something. They asked how long were they gone. She says 30 or 40 minutes. They asked, let me switch topics. How soon into the relationship did Sean mention voyeurism to you? She says first 6 months or a year. She says, how old were you? She answered 22. Why did you agree to try a freak off? She says, good question. I wanted to make him happy. They asked, where was the first freak off? One of his homes in LA, Los Angeles. They said, or they asked 2A627, who is this? She says, the first escort. They asked, do you know his name? She says, no. I'll call him the first escort. Were you aware he was paid? She says, yes, to dance and have intercourse with me. She asks, what drugs did you take? Ventura answers, ecstasy and alcohol before things got started. They ask, did you disagree? Did you disguise your appearance? She says, Sean said we would disguise ourselves. I wore a masquerade mask. They asked, what was a session in a freak off? She answered, until the escort finished. They asked, how many sessions with the first escort? She said, at least two. How did you feel? I was high, so I didn't feel much. Dirty and confusion, and that he was happy with me. They asked, why did you feel you couldn't say no? She says, I didn't want to make him angry or upset after he shared this part of himself with me. They asked, how frequent did the freak offs become? She said, weekly for a consistent amount of years. When was your last one? 2017, 2018, she says. How long were you awake during the freak offs? She says, I never slept. I took drugs, ecstasy, and Molly, cocaine. They asked, do you recall all of the freak offs? She says, that would be impossible. They asked, did you want to stop? She says, yes, I was humiliated. I didn't have those words back then. I couldn't talk to anyone about it. And she begins to sob. They asked, did you tell him you didn't want to? She says, yes. This is very important. She says, I brought it up gently. I didn't want him to just do it with someone else. They asked, were you able to express your concerns to him? The defense says, objection, leading. Judge says, rephrase. They asked, why would you talk to him gently? She answers, I didn't want him to be angry. They then ask, what is this? She says, an email between me and Sean. She says, what did you call him? Ventura said, Pop Pop. Why? She says, he asked me what I called my grandfather. I did it, but now I think it was disrespectful. They ask, what did you write? She says, I really need to fuck. She says, why did you write that? She says, because I wanted to be with him. They said, they asked, I'll read your messages. You read yours. They are reading from the point of Sean right here. It says, do you want to do any more? Ventura says, I'm so predictable. She says, what did you think this meant? That he knew I didn't want to do the freak offs anymore. But then I backpedaled. She says, why? To not make him angry. He could be violent. They asked, where did you get your outfit? I guess they had a little typo there. It says pleasure chest elsewhere. Did you get piercings? She says, yes. Sean came with me. Says, which of his homes did you have freakouts in? She says, Miami and New York. She says, what other homes? My homes, all but Studio City. She said, what other cities? Atlanta, Ibiza. They asked, in what hotels in NY did you have freak offs? She said Trump, Gramercy, and she says Intercontinental Hotel. She says 44th Street. Yes. She says ask elsewhere. Mandarin Oriental and Fountain Blue. She then asks what names were used. She says Jackie Star. I used Frank Black. They ask what supplies for the freak offs. Holy shit, they getting into it. Astroglide, baby oil, and condoms. Extra baby oil. We already know that. We already know he had a closet of baby oil. Come on. Who bought the supplies? She says security, Sean's assistants. Which brand of baby oil? Now come on now. Now come on. Now you know he had the Johnson and Johnson. I told
He
you.
had the J&J.
Come on, K Dub. Like you know what I'm saying? They
Oh,
know
what's
what the
up,
fuck was
y'all?
in
What's up,
there.
y'all? By the way, sorry to sneak up on y'all. That's your boy
I ain't
K
see you in
Dub
there,
live
my
in the
bad.
Doja
I was
room.
waiting for you to find CB
Boy,
up in
boy,
there.
in the your boy DJ K Dub live in the Doja room with the boy Diesel,
You already know
boy
that.
Mills.
Yo, what's
What's
good? You ready
going
know it's
on?
live. We live in direct. Shiesty nurse up in this bitch.
we
Let's
verbalizing
get
a
it.
lot today.
Yeah.
Verbalizing. We real people. We ain't hiding behind AIs.
Yeah, we oh say what's up to the little one. I hear him in the background.
Yeah, he mad rude,
So
mad rude.
so we was picking up right from where we left last episode. So I'm gonna continue. We are like I said, we already know he had the Johnson and Johnson. Okay, the Johnson and Johnson was there in full effect. So then it says, "How was it used?" She said, "Sean said you need to be glistening, glistening, nigga, shining. I need to see my reflection on your ass cheeks, bitch. Fuck is you talking
Shit.
about?"
He said it's like you coming out the womb again.
Like, yo, I'm telling you, he said you need to be glistening. God damn, did he? Shit. They asked where were there freak offs where you ran out of baby oil. Holy fuck. They called an objection. Holy fuck. They said this is irrelevant. Your Honor, this is irrelevant. She says you also mentioned Astroglide. So I'm guessing the judge sustained it and I wanted to hear the answer to that. I wanted to hear the answer to that. I'm sorry. did y'all run out of Did y'all run out of baby oil? Let's just keep it a stack, okay? Did y'all run out of baby oil? Because we already know he was directing y'all like, oh whoa, hold up, like hold on, y'all niggas is get everything shit. You getting a little sweaty, you sweating the baby oil off. Let's bring in more baby oil, okay? We about to go into scene 2. I need y'all to act like y'all just met each other on the train, and yeah, he was doing all that directing shit.
Wait, Diesel, didn't they say yesterday? Weren't you talking about how he had like a mini bar of baby oil?
Yes,
Oh
the
my
nigga had a
god!
closet of baby
A
oil.
Oh
mini
my
a
Of
god!
closet
Johnson
and
and
a mini
Johnson,
bar
yeah.
is crazy work, bro. Like,
That's all Diddy right there. You know
sidebar real
how we
quick.
say no Diddy? That's all Diddy.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, that's all Diddy
See,
over there.
sidebar real quick.
Even Lil Mills, he's saying that.
Facts.
That's
Yeah,
all
she
Diddy.
My
she
daughter
already
is like,
know that's
I
crazy.
don't even buy Johnson and Johnsons for my daughter, bro. She like,
Damn, he fucked up a brand for you. That's
I wonder
crazy.
God
if
damn.
sidebar. I wonder if he owns like Johnson and Johnson stock. I mean, at this point, or
Shit, he
like
might.
at this point, why not just make your own baby oil company?
I
It
about to
probably would
say
have been too
he
obvious.
might as well at this point. Yeah, he
It
might as
probably would have
well.
been too obvious.
He might as well at this point. Shit. But so they objected to that, okay? And they said it was the same objection. It's irrelevant. The judge says sidebar. So I guess they had a sidebar. They came back. So we were just talking about Astroglide. How was it used? She says as lubricant. She says if you ran out, what? She said we call either staff or the bell desk. Give them a tip. She says were the freak offs lit? Holy shit. She says initially it was candle It was a candle, strong smell. Oh, okay. So they meant lit with a can. Okay, all right, lit like that. I was like, lit? Like, what the fuck is you talking about? But initially, she says it was candle lit, strong smelling glades. Come on, glades. Oh yeah, Diddy didn't give a fuck about y'all. He ain't go to Bed Bath and Body Works and get the real shits that, you know what I mean, fill up the whole. That's how you really get in them drawers. Let me just put y'all on, okay? When you bring Shorty to the crib, I know. All right, I was that guy. I'm just letting you know. I know how to set this up. You don't get no glade.
Wait, no, wait, D's, wait, hold on. You were Diddy? Hold on.
No, 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 no,
Pause.
no, 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 no. I
Pause.
was
Pause.
that guy. I was that guy when you bring a bitch over, okay? When you bring a bitch over and you have that Bed Bath and Body Work candle, that 3-wick joint, you feel me? That fill up the whole room. Oh yes, you can smell that shit when you open the front door. She walk in. Oh, oh my God, it smells so good in here. Like, oh my, I've never even. Yeah. These niggas don't be doing it. Like, I'm just giving y'all a little tip.
When you get
Okay,
the Better
just giving
World
y'all a little
fragrance
tip. No
Drake
Diddy.
candles. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
or y'all can fuck with the Drake shits. You feel me? Or y'all can get Erica Badu's pussy scent. However y'all want to do it. Okay.
Some sage in that motherfucker.
Yeah, I'm saying Sage is a little strong. Yeah, it's a little strong. But the Glade, Diddy with the Glades, yeah, come on, Diddy. You could have spent a little bit of cash, all right? You could have shelled out a little bit more to really
He
get
was
it right.
cheap on them niggas, man.
He was a little cheap. Yeah, hell yeah. You can get the Glade shits from Dollar General. That ain't nothing, you know what I mean? We ain't worried
Damn,
about the Glade joints.
that's wild.
So they then asked, they says any other use of candle wax. She says a few times poured on my body. Oh, they was getting it. Mm-mm-mm. They was old school freaking. She says, who set the temperature of the room? God damn. She says, Sean, I was expected to do freak offs on my period.
Yeah, that's disgusting.
Holy.
What the fuck?
Holy.
Dude, this dude Diddy is crazy.
She said, they asked, did you want to do that? She says, no, hell no. The fuck? They asked, did you want to be urinated on? The defense says objection. The judge says grounds. He asks grounds. The defense says asked and answered. He says overruled. She says, no, I did not want it. They ask, how did it feel? She answers, it was disgusting. It was too much. I choked. No one could think I wanted it. Mm. They asked, were you choking? Well, why were you choking? Bitch, too much urine in my mouth. They asked, who else urinated on you? She says, Sean. So she was getting the double golden shower, Bukkake style, just standing there. Oh my God. Oh my God. They breaking down play by play the freak offs right now. They asked, did you want Sean to urinate on you? Ventura says, I didn't want anyone to urinate on me. They asked, how often did it happen? She said, often enough. They asked, which hotel charged the most for damage to the room? She says, the Intercontinental in New York. They redecorated the whole room for ridiculous money. This is crazy. They asked, back to the urination. God damn. They said, well, the judge says, Miss Johnson, only a few more questions. You bugging out. You're bugging out, okay? Back to the urination, you're bugging out, okay? A few more questions
That's a
on
hell
the
of a.
urination.
That's a hell of a next step.
That's a
Jesus.
hell of a transition, nigga.
That's
That's crazy.
hell of a transition.
She asked, why didn't you say no? Ventura said, it was obvious I didn't want to be on the ground being urinated by two men. They says, where did you find escorts?
Did she say it's obvious?
Yeah. She says, it was obvious I didn't want to be on the ground being urinated. No,
Jesus.
I call
they asked,
cap. You
why
set up.
didn't you
I
say
call
no? I'm
cap.
sorry. Yeah. So they asked, why didn't you say no? And she says, it was obvious I didn't want to be on the ground being urinated by two men. They says, where did you find escorts? She says, initially Craigslist. Judge says, we'll break here. And that's where they broke there. They came back. Ready, all rise. They came back and says, Miss Ventura, in what cities did you respond to ads on Craigslist? She says, in New York. She says, did you respond to ads on Backpage as well? She says, yes. They asked, who directed you to communicate with escorts? They said, objection. She says, if anyone, defense, same objection. Assumes a fact not in evidence. She asked, did you ever reach out to escorts independently? She says no. She asked, did you ever use an escort who arrived? She says one couldn't perform, so Sean sent him home. Sent him on. She asks, what was a safe escort? She says, not a cop. So I'm guessing they're referring to some terms that they use or classify their escorts with. So she says, not a cop, and someone who'd not run and tell everyone about their experience with us. She says, why not a cop? I learned this whole situation was not legal. Defense says, objection. Judge says, jury will disregard that last answer. Excuse me. They asked, how did Cash get there? She says, security, or he bought it himself. They asked the escort Dave, do you know his real name? She says, Clayton Howard. They asked, who is this? And the photo was shown to her. She answers, Daniel. What service did you use? She says, a dancer service. They asked, do you recognize Jules? She says, yes. In what cities did you have freak-offs with Jules? She says, NY, LA, Las Vegas. They said, do you know his last name? She says, no. Who's this? I knew him as the Punisher. Oh my God.
Damn, motherfuckers, Frank Castle. Damn.
Damn, she was
What he
getting
said? He
Frank.
said the Punisher. This is crazy,
She was out here calling the nigga the
bro. This is
Punisher.
some
Bro.
nasty
Fucking
shit,
Frank
man.
Castle in the building.
Bro, I
Hey,
feel like I'm watching like porn. I'm listening like Pornhub Chronicles right now. Like,
hey, it's crazy shit. They said the Punisher is crazy. They said did you use drugs at every freak off? She said yes. I need to disassociate and become emotionless. So she was effectively like, Diddy damn near had her drugged out. And this is also important because this puts her in this state of, she didn't necessarily have any control over what she was doing. She was popping X every week and just trying to do all of this stuff to deal with it. You know what I'm saying? Which is crazy, but I mean, it is what it is. That's crazy, but that's going to be very important in going forward. I feel like in the prosecution's argument, and also that's going to be something that the defense is going to have to really try to fight against, because it would seem like she's painting the picture of her just trying to make this man happy, and he's the person with all the power. So yeah, that's going to be an interesting bit that I know that we're going to see pop up a couple of times in this
good
trial.
either.
Yeah.
I was trying to explain to my wife last night. I was like, she's like, "Oh, you're taking up for Diddy." I'm not taking up for Diddy. I don't think he's a good person at all. I just think that, I just think they painted a narrative that she is some innocent person that he just snatched up and it
Mm-hmm.
was capturing, and she had no way out and all this stuff. I just think that's cap, and I think that's what Brian Stillingham is trying to do. She was an active and
Right.
willing participant in all of this shit, and when shit got weird and he put hands on her, she was like, "All right, whatever. This is fucked up." Shit got weird after she was being weird. She's a weirdo, just like
Yeah.
him.
Yeah. Right. And I mean, you know, she only has two options going into this, so I kind of try to be somewhat understanding, I guess, because you either have the option of being a person who was complicit, or you were this person who was just being forced and just trying to make, like as I said, trying to make this man happy, or trying to fight to have a career and not be attacked violently and things like that. So you only have one or two choices, and going the first route, it has no benefit to her to do that. It has no benefit to her to paint herself as somebody who was complicit, which is which is I feel like why in the last objection that we just went over, where she says, I learned this whole situation was not legal, and they had that objection because it kind of, like I said, it kind of paints the picture that she doesn't, like, almost says she's not thinking for herself at all, and she had no knowledge that prostitution, buying escorts and shit like that wasn't legal. You know what I'm saying? It's like, all right, we got to call an objection. We can't let the narrative run too crazy over here. Like, we got to call an objection on that. Like, you know what I'm saying? So there's some bits where they are going to fight back, and another key part that we went over just now, where she talks about backpedaling, which is 100% we're going to see most likely today. The defense used that against her, and ask her, well, Diddy gave you this out right here. He asked you, he told you, and said, do you want to keep on doing this? You know what I'm saying? And it was your assumption, that you know he was going to react in this way, that you were going to, I guess, be violently attacked. So it's really kind of complicated, because like this whole part right here where she's talking about, you know I brought it up to him gently, but I didn't want him to just do it with someone else. They're gonna
What,
use that to be there. Yeah, yeah, exactly. So
bro?
when she's saying things like this, the defense is gonna pick that apart and say, okay, you had a few outs here,
Yeah.
and you were scared that he was either going to move on with someone else, and you know continue doing what he does and leave you behind.
So, just for the record, and my wife is here listening with me, okay? For the
Right.
record, she had several
Good morning, by the way.
outs. You know, Diesel says good morning, babe. So she had several outs, but was afraid that he would do it with somebody else, okay? And also afraid of his retaliation. which can be very much true in terms of the retaliation. You never know what the situation and the dynamics was. Maybe he was gonna beat her ass if,
Right.
or
That's very
control
much
her somehow.
valid. That's not to take anything away. Right.
Right. Though that concern is a valid concern, and he did beat. We saw what he did to her. Right.
Right.
So, but having said that, now we're in the court of law. Right. So the court of law, unfortunately, does not care about these things. They care about the facts. So when it comes to the facts, regardless if you thought he was gonna beat you, regardless if he thought regardless if he thought that he was gonna do anything in regardless to you, you still had an out, and he offered you an out. So whether it was whether it was a false, what you call it, offer, okay,
Hmm.
it's still an offer. So people about to be
Right.
real mad. Just saying.
Yeah. Yeah. I like I said, ultimately it's up to the jury. That's where things can go, 50-50. But 100%, I like I said, I see the defense using this in saying, you had an out. You had plenty of times to, stop doing this thing with him, or, you know, voice it to someone, or I don't know. And if you felt like, and if I'm the defense, I ask her, well, why were you, in fear that Diddy would move on with someone else? What made you think that? Because we know Diddy had a bunch of other girls. We know that. But it's like, what were you scared of being pushed out from being the main chick? From like, what was it? Because if all of these things you were doing you weren't approving of necessarily, you didn't necessarily, well, she said she wanted to do some of the stuff in the beginning, but it became like her job, and that's when it basically was like, okay, I'm just his sex object. I'm just, this thing to him, or basically like a living sex doll to him, to where when he's ready to have a freak off or do whatever, that's the only thing I'm here for.
But big dog Diesel, man. If when TMZ released the video, so that narrative is defeated by TMZ releasing the video of him taking her on vacation with his family. So if you're just an F object, right? Why are you all, I know men. I'm not saying, look, again, Diddy is a piece of human garbage, in my opinion. Okay? He needs to go to jail for other crimes that he's probably committed, and he's treated people like complete dog shit as a human. He's not a good person.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna stand firm on that. Like, I don't like Diddy, but if we're talking about facts, facts don't care about feelings. The fact of the matter is, he took her on vacations. I know, man. Any man that's treating their people as an F object isn't gonna bring them around the family. Family don't know her and all that. It's gonna be on some. Yo, I'm flying on the Turks and Caicos. You wanna? I'm flying you out. You know what I'm saying? It ain't, oh, I'm bringing you with my son and my family. Everybody know you. Everybody see you. Everybody know your name. You on the red carpet with me. No, 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 no. So all of that is cap, in my opinion. Continue.
Yeah, I mean, but that's why I said it gets shaky when you have a jury deciding these things, because it all falls down to, and even in this day and age, I feel like, one thing that the video did was kind of already taint the jury pool and taint the
But
people coming into this, because you kind of already are looking at, what happened between them and the Intercontinental, and you're kind of like, okay, this nigga Diddy is a little bit unhinged.
but
And
here's the thing. Here's the thing, right? When it comes to these cases, like I said, we talk about Casey Anthony, George Zimmerman, all these people, right? When it comes to these cases, the foreman of the jury, this is one person that the judge selects in the jury to make sure that we focus on the facts and the evidence of the case, right? So, yes, the imagery and the theatrics, yes, paints a picture in their mind, but it's starting to now with all this subsequent information. This is information that the public did not know. We didn't know Cassie was going on these vacations. The image that we knew prior to this trial was Diddy is a monster that beats women and sexually assaults men and women. He's bisexual. This whole patent imagery. Now we're getting the other side of the story, and it's looking pretty bleak because it's
Mm.
like, okay, you the way the image that it was implanted about Jesse Ventura, whatever her name is, or Cassie, right? Was she was this sex slave that was entrapped into this sex relationship, and she was in a sex dungeon, trapped as a damsel in distress. Woe is me! How can I escape this evil billionaire dictator, sex dictator with the baby oil? Like how? But now we're starting to see that it wasn't really like that. It was a consensual relationship, and shit got weird, and she got uncomfortable, which she has every right to feel weird, every right
Mm.
to feel uncomfortable, every right to want to leave something like that. But she was offered several outs, whether they would be those were false or not, or false offers or not. The fact of the matter is, if the jury is focusing on the facts, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how many guns, subliminal guns, or hypothetical guns, or assumptive
Yeah, Diddy was
guns
on
put
that
to your
gangster
head.
shit.
You had an out, and you chose not to out. You chose to stay. You subjected and submitted yourself to this treatment. And when shit got weird, you want to go to the courts.
But see, my thing though about that, Mills, you can't. So the problem with that is it's akin to a woman being abused and her still staying. Like you can't.
Right.
This is
Exactly.
gonna be the
And
issue with
that's
the
how most of
jury.
these people. That's how a lot of these people look at
That's
it.
what I'm saying. That's where Diddy's kind of fucked because it's like I understand what you're saying, Mills. Wait, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we hear you.
Okay. Like I understand what you guys are saying, and I get what you're trying to say, Mills. Like, okay, as far as the Rico goes, Diddy's, they have yet to prove, but it's like I I I kind of applaud what the prosecution's doing because they're literally using the fact that they have all this video evidence of Diddy just being an absolute piece of shit human being, and they're implanting in everybody, including the jury's mind. They're basically saying, "Hey, if he's capable of this, what makes you think he's not capable of that?"
But bro, this is
Exactly.
what I'm trying to say. These are why cases when people get the public opinion, and are gonna. That's why I said people are gonna be upset because they are acting on emotion, right? And at the end of the day, this is my thing. This is my thing. I hear everything both of y'all are saying, right? But here's the problem, right? In the court of law, I don't want Diddy to get off. I want Diddy to go to jail just as much as everybody else wants, right? But I don't want him to go to jail. I want him to go to jail on facts and evidence related to the charges. Because if we don't do that, then there's no we have to respect due process in this country. Because there's many people that don't get that due process. All I'm saying is the due process has to be across the board, not on emotion, not on theatrics, but the facts. If he was charged with a RICO case, right, for sex trafficking or whatever it is, provide the evidence. It's the same thing I would do for you, K Dub, and Diesel. If God forbid y'all was ever anything, what did my man's
Fuck
do?
no, I ain't
What is he
going to
being
no
charged with?
goddamn Diddy parties.
But I'm saying, like, what is my man's being charged with, and where is the evidence that support it? That's all I'm saying. It's not. I don't like Diddy. I don't care for the dude. He's a piece of
But
shit. I think he did a lot of
Mills,
messed up
Mills,
stuff. But
but
let it
Mills,
be facts.
you don't think they're building up to that though? That's what I'm saying. You
No,
gotta you
but,
gotta
but I'm just
remember.
saying we're gonna see. This is only what, day 2, but as of
Yeah.
right
Yeah,
now,
that's what
as
this
of
this
right
trial's
now,
gonna be a while, bro. This
yeah,
Yeah.
it's
trial
probably
might be
gonna
like
be like a
two, three
couple of months.
weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Nah,
Facts.
months to
I don't
weeks
think
because
months, but maybe two,
A
three
month or two.
weeks.
No, no,
okay,
no. It's gonna be a
but my
couple
thing
months.
is that this is what happens when public opinion get mad because it's like, oh, I know Casey Anthony killed her baby. I know the no.
Mm.
But the good lawyers say, focus on the facts. What is the charges and where is the evidence to support the charges?
Yeah. I mean,
That's due process. That is due process. Showing a video of a domestic violence. If this is a domestic violence case, then Diddy's going down. There's no way around it. But this is more than just that. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying?
I
That's
mean,
where
but
I'm
that's
coming
why I
from.
said when we look at key things, you got to really pay attention to when she's saying key things, because this is how I'm looking at it. We're just
Okay.
they're just questioning her right now. But with each questioning, I'm picking out bits and pieces that are going to be the main star of their arguments. You know what I'm saying? Now, if I'm Diddy's team and I'm listening to what K Mills is saying, I'm gonna be like, look, the number one thing, and which I think we may see Diddy, if they're smart, I think the best thing for them to do is I would question Cassie, not about no freak offs, not about when he was hitting you or anything like that. Tell me when y'all went out, y'all had a nice time, y'all had a good. Let's talk about that family vacation. Did you guys ever have any real moments? Did you guys ever just have some downtime? Y'all just chilling. Y'all just relaxing, kicking back, maybe sipping on
Yeah.
some wine. Did y'all
Yep.
have real conversations? That is on the onus of the defense to make that argument and paint the picture. That's what these guys are going to be doing here. So when they have these guys and they question them, it's up
Uh
to
huh.
them to take this stuff and paint the picture of, because obviously prosecution, they're painting this picture of her being this, and that's all we're getting right now. So that's all the jury, the people, us, that's all we can picture right now, because
Exactly.
it hasn't exactly been laid out to us. Well, do they have any real moments? Do they have Was there moments where she was treated like a girlfriend? Because if not, if they didn't have any real moments like that to speak of, and you question Cassie and she gives you jack all, she gives you nothing, then it's even more easier for you to paint the picture to say, well, she was just a sex object. They didn't have any long walks by the beach. They didn't
But
have
Diesel,
any planning out their lives and talking about
Diesel,
children.
TMZ stepped on that, bro. That's exactly what you just said. TMZ released the footage of his 48th birthday in Mexico. They dancing, they all like you should see them. They look like a normal
But
couple.
that's in front of cameras. That's not what I'm talking about though.
Yeah.
If as the
Yeah.
defense, I want to know what y'all do
I
behind
want the
closed
private.
doors.
I want the
The
shit
20
that nobody's seen.
I want the other 20 hours of the day, not just the 4 that we see.
Yep.
I want to know
Yep.
about
But
the
wait,
other
was that in
20
front of? Wait,
hours of
hold
the
on.
day.
Wait, was the footage that was released by TMZ, right? Was that wasn't a public like, hey, we're videoing Dibby. Wasn't that something that looked like that was something that was leaked to them and they released it? Like it was something that someone else like that was there was recording it. It wasn't like paparazzi, right?
But
I
Am I
this is
think
what
it
I'm
understanding that
telling
was.
you.
correctly?
Look, this is
What
what
was
I'm
it,
telling you
Diesel?
as
Diesel,
someone
who
who's
was it?
been in front of
Yeah.
the man
Yeah.
personally.
Because you
I
know
have
why I'm saying
never
that.
if you would have told me this a couple of years ago that Diddy was doing all of this shit, I would have told you personally to go suck a dick. Personally, because
he
I
said. He
what
said, New York niggas
and when
stand
I
up.
interacted with him or his sons, it
Yeah.
wasn't necessarily
Yeah.
this Diddy,
Oh,
and there didn't have to be cameras around for him to
Yeah.
present the Diddy that we all know and love. Because when
that's
I
true.
see him, when I'm around him, I'm like, oh shit, this is the guy. Yeah, oh, he's real. This is the energy. Like, oh, he's really like. That's all you're enamored by. And he has a way, and he's very charismatic. He has a
Yeah.
way
He's very
of,
manipulative as well.
yeah, like he knows how to get you in his charisma. He knows how to talk to you. He knows how to, yeah, what's good, man? Yeah, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, what's going on? Oh, I like that. I like how you, yeah, you doing your thing. Yeah, he's really like that. He's very supportive and wanting to be involved and wanting to know about you and what you do and your expertise. He's meticulous like that.
Yeah.
So he's presenting that to little old me behind closed doors. But when he steps behind those doors with Cassie, it's obviously a whole different person. And
Yep.
other people can attest to that too. You know what I'm saying? And
Yep.
he obviously wasn't presenting the this Diddy. I didn't know nothing about no Johnson and Johnson. I didn't know nothing
That's
about no
crazy.
babe, this and that, and all of this weird shit. I didn't know nothing about that shit.
Yeah,
His
that's his
son,
private,
they
but that's
never
his
gave the
private life,
vibes.
though.
It never gave weird vibes when I have been in his crib. I'm telling you, it has never been any weird vibes like that. So it's like, okay,
But at the same time, bro, like you're also talking about when you're talking about a normal person's life, nobody really knows what everybody does in their bedroom or in their
right,
private life to begin with. So you know what I'm saying? So all we have with these celebrities and all I personally care about with celebrities is if they're not doing anything like, I don't know, sex trafficking, prostitutes and killing people. If that's the stuff
Basically
that you're
everything
doing
Diddy
in,
did.
right. I mean, that was basically, and that's what, and
everything
if
they
he did
saying he
that,
did at least.
allegedly, and if he's doing that, then
Allegedly.
if he's doing that, then he should rot in jail for life. But
Yeah,
like as it pertains to this part where Cassie, it's like Cassie needs to take him to well, didn't she take him to independently to court and sued him for domestic violence and sue and a civil all of that? That's where she should win, and she should get every penny out of him for that. But when it comes to this Rico stuff, let's get to the meat of it. This is just no, I mean no Diddy. Let's get to the gist, the crux of what's going on. No,
That's
his
yeah,
character.
wild.
Well, we all know Diddy's a piece of shit. You ain't saying that. It's like saying Trump is a bad person.
yeah,
But here's my thing though, and it's like what Diesel just said, right? He puts on this. I've never met Diddy. I've never had the chance to meet Diddy. But like kind of like what Diesel said, he has this facade about him, this energy, right? And it's like going back to Cassie's statement, and then Diesel, you have it up on the screen, right?
right.
how she said, where is it? Where is it? Uh,
Wait, what you
it's the
talking
one
about?
where he asks. It's the one where he asks, like, did you want to leave or whatever? Go to that
Oh, the
one.
one I was at.
Yeah, just so
Uh,
everybody can see
Stand
what
up
I'm
for the
talking about.
Saints. Right over here.
Oh, you
Yeah.
don't want to. So he says. So read it again, D's. He says, "What did you write? I really need to find. Why did you write? Or oh yeah,
Why did you
because I
write
wanted
that?
to be with him. I'll read your messages. You read yours. You don't want to do anymore. I'm so predictable. So it's like you can tell by her inflection, Mills. She wanted to leave, bro. Like she was over. I don't think, and this is what they're gonna have a hard time proving, and she's kind of making it hard for the defense. Like if I was the defense lawyer, I'd be like, or if I was the prosecution, I'd be like, bitch, like you need to sell this shit. Like you're
Yeah.
not making people. It's not. I'm just gonna be black and white about it. You're not making people feel sorry for you
Right.
because
That's
it's
what I'm trying
like
to
you're
tell you, bro.
you're you're not
Yeah.
helping. You're not helping yourself because it's like I'm not gonna sit here and say that what happened to her was okay. Like it's
Nah,
clearly
absolutely not.
manipulation. It's clearly manipulation. It's clearly some form of prostitution.
Coercion.
It's definitely prostitution. It's definitely degrading. It's definitely, up there with the upper echelon of piece of shitness that you could commit to a woman. But like
For what?
Cassie, you're not helping the prosecution out by sitting here saying I had a chance to leave and I didn't do it. Explain why you couldn't do it. That's what she's not doing. Like it's like what I
Exactly.
said earlier. It's like what I said earlier, right? The problem with when Diesel was saying kind of saying the same thing earlier. It's like what you got to convince a jury of your peers to be like, yeah, this motherfucker did all this, okay? Which they're about 85% of the way there. I think the final 15% is just you got to start giving me names and dates of people that he trafficked. But like they'll get to that. But it's like right now is when you need to go. If I'm the prosecution, you need to go full throttle into he held this woman against her will. He emotionally and mentally and psychologically manipulated her into staying. Cassie, play on that. Be like,
Mm-hmm.
hey, he threatened to kill me. You gotta give us something that really made you not want to leave, that really made
Yeah,
it so
you
you
gotta
couldn't leave.
go into
Because
some of
right
these
now, yeah.
instances, but that's
Yeah, because,
also
yeah.
on the onus of that's also on the onus of the prosecutor who's questioning
Yep.
her too, because
Exactly.
you got to kind of, like
Exactly.
I said, also with the defense, you got to kind of paint that picture and lead her down
Yep.
this path to where,
Exactly.
you're questioning her in a way that is going to reveal these things, which is the whole point of the
Exactly.
questioning in the first place. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. And the
So
prosecution's fucking up, and they're fucking
yeah,
up right now. They're fucking
yeah.
up because you're just letting
I
her
don't
run
know. Now
rampant.
I don't know because in my opinion, that bit about the text message, which is a concrete proof, black and white, her. First of all, you got him acknowledging, okay, so you don't want to do this, and her saying basically, yes, I'm so predictable, but
Yeah.
yes, I don't want to do this. So at some point, you have it here where Diddy acknowledges, okay, this is something that she doesn't want to do.
She clearly don't like this. Yeah.
Yeah, she clearly is not with this. She clearly doesn't want to do this,
Yep.
and I'm sure that's probably not the only time. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure that's probably not. I doubt that's the
Yep.
only time she
Oh
voiced
hell no.
that.
Hell no.
Hey, I don't want to do this. I'm not in the mood. I don't feel good. I don't whatever. You know what I'm saying? And if the if the fear of what would come after that was so great, because even with that, you know what I'm saying, we don't necessarily get what happens after that interaction, which I don't know why they
Exactly. Hey.
didn't continue to talk
Exactly,
about.
bro. Cause this dude could have beat her.
This lawyer is crazy. That's what as if I
Yeah.
was the lawyer, I would ask directly what happened after that interaction. What happened after you guys had that conversation? What was the result of it?
Yeah.
So, and that's what, like you were saying, which what exactly what she should do. That was the lawyer's opportunity right there to say, okay,
That was
run
I'm
me,
telling you right
walk me
now.
through it, walk me through the
You know,
result of you saying this.
Diesel. You know what
Mm-hmm.
that was right there? That's a
Right.
Westbrook air ball.
Yeah, I mean,
That was that
a
was
missed
you wide
layup.
open. That no, that was you wide open and you airballed it.
Yeah, like
That's
it's
what
just
that
like,
was.
yeah.
That was you wide open and you airballed. And I'm just like, you. And it's like, hey, I hate to give it to Mills here, but like Mills said, like with the Casey Anthony's and the George Zimmermans of the world, he was saying it yesterday. You're leaving these little pockets of reasonable doubt every 5 or 6 questions. You're leaving these little pockets of reasonable doubt.
Mm-hmm.
All those pockets are gonna turn into a really big hole at the end
Mm-hmm.
because you're gonna have people start questioning stuff. Like Diesel, I'm pretty sure the jury's thinking the same thing me and you are right now.
Right.
What happened after that? What happened after her basically telling him she doesn't want to do it no more?
Exactly. And he
What
basically goes
happened
off and
after that?
starts talking about something else, which is
Exact,
like,
and I'm like, oh fuck, you missed an opportunity, bro.
exactly.
Like oh dude, that almost might be one of the like couple nails in the coffin if she could have got to that. Cause then you know what? Then it paints. If I'm the prosecution, you know what that paints? If she answers and I like what I hear, then I can go on the attack mode and be like, so he's clearly dissatisfied with Cassie because Cassie don't want to do this shit no more. Let me go start getting other women and hiring other women to do it. Then we can start getting into the sex trafficking. Then we can start getting into the pay for play and the prostitution. And you know what I'm
Exactly.
saying? It
Right.
was a fucking layup, bro, to that. Now they got to
You
go
cooking, bro.
back. Now they got to go back and they got to be like, all right, we got to wait for another opportunity so we can segue into the RICO charges. Because right now, all we're getting is, I hate to say it, all we're getting is a fucking domestic violence case right now. That's all we're getting. I'm not seeing any sex trafficking charge. I'm not seeing any sex trafficking yet. I mean, unless I missed something, Diesel.
DJ
Like, I'm not
DJ
seeing
K
any
Dub,
sex trafficking.
DJ K Dub, you cooking, bro? And you proved my point. That's what I'm trying to tell you,
That's what I'm
dog.
saying. Like
That's
that's yeah. It's
you verbalize my feelings.
no,
You're
no,
verb,
no,
you're
that's what I'm
verbalizing.
saying.
That's what I'm saying. You're verbalizing everything what people are saying. What we have is
Like,
if this was a domestic violence case, I'd be like, yo, Diddy going to jail.
You know
Oh,
what I'm
dude,
saying?
I'd
This
end
is
this
pretty
shit now.
Like,
If I'm the judge,
pretty
I'd
much a
look at the
done
jury
deal
and be
if
like,
it
I'll
was a
make the
domestic
decision
violence
for you.
case.
Fuck.
let's wrap this up. You know what I'm saying? But this ain't
Yeah,
where
let's
it's at.
wrap this up. This motherfucker going
This
under
is
the
over in
jail.
a
Like,
week if this is a
and
domestic
I wouldn't
violence
even say a
case.
week. Diesel probably they go to deliberate today.
Bro, the shit would have been over day one when they showed the video, dog.
Oh, bro,
You know,
yeah, it would have been over day one when they showed the
you see what I'm
video.
saying, dog?
Right.
I'm just on some hard part six shit. Let me know when we get to the facts. That's what I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah,
I don't. I like
yeah,
if you're
yeah.
gonna lock a nigga up, lock him up on the facts. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
And then one more thing, Deez, before you continue, it's like, Cassie, I understand what you're trying to paint here,
Mm,
but the prosecution needs to fucking stop. It's like, why did you take these drugs? You guys know why she did. Because, and everybody and their mom knows why she would do that.
yeah.
To
But they
numb the
still need her
shit
to say
so
it.
she
They still
can't
need
think
her to
about
say
it.
exactly why in
Yeah,
front of the jury, and you
yeah,
know what I'm saying. This is why
exactly.
they ask these stupid ass questions and stuff and shit like that.
Exactly. And it's just like, my thing is just, I mean, yeah, I get that obviously, but it's just, you're, by repeating the same shit over and over, D's, you know what it's becoming to the jury? Monotonous. It's like, okay,
Yeah,
Cassie, so instead of doing the thing that adults should do, is make a grown-up decision and be like, I don't want to do this anymore, you're gonna
Yep.
medicate yourself, quote unquote, shout out to Mills, you're gonna
Hmm.
medicate yourself with these illegal drugs that are psychoactive, right? Just so you aren't feeling what's going on. So
Yep.
yeah.
you're being
To
complicit without.
disassociate and become
Yeah,
emotionless,
you're
it's crazy.
disassociating. You're disassociating complicity without being complicit.
Which
Yeah,
also,
So
can I build off of what you're saying, DJ K Dub? The drugs, you're taking drugs that could even
the drugs.
make you more vulnerable and susceptible to this treatment. See,
Yep.
this is where people don't understand how courts work. It's like, bro, nobody cares about the woman who gets beaten and keeps going back to get beaten. They care for more for the woman that says, I got beat a couple of times, I'm been abused. And then I went to the authorities. I went to my mother. He came to my house and beat me. I left the situation. He's still coming to find me. He's harassing me. He's trying to kill me. That's different. When you stay and you're a battered woman, it's like, and you just keep going back. It's like, okay, at what point did you say enough is enough? Let me run. Let me call the lawyer. Let me call
yeah.
the police. Let me
And
remember.
it makes you wonder too, what exactly changed that he let you go, you know what I'm saying, at the point that he did, to where you was able to move on and be with someone else. What
Yep.
exactly changed if you were in such of, if you were in his clutches like you say you were? That's one of the questions I would have. Like, why did he just let you go at the end of this? And
Yep.
I'm
Yep.
guessing
Yep.
they'll probably get to how the relationship ended and things like that. We'll probably get to that. But that's
What
one
I
of the
just want to
things.
say, sorry, I just want to say one thing. I'm gonna let you go.
No.
I want people who are listening or who are in tune with this, this case, and as well as many other cases that are out there. Always remember, when it comes to a jury, they always gonna go back. What would a reasonable, prudent person do in every situation, right? So that means, like I said, go to the police. That's one thing. And a personal responsibility and individual responsibility range true. So if you are not taking those measures, whether you did not know, you were ignorant or not ignorant, you didn't know any better, it's not ignorance to the law is no excuse. That is actually in the law, and many judges will tell you that. So it's not, even if you didn't know, it doesn't matter. You have personal responsibility, and even today in today's society with technology, you can't say you didn't know. Google some shit, AI some shit.
Mm,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
What a reasonable, prudent person would do if you were in distress would say, "How do I get out of this situation where a man is beating me and drugging me and forcing me to have sex? How do Google AI? How do I get out of it? Oh, call the authorities. Call the lawyer. You didn't do that, so you're complicit."
Yep.
Yeah, yeah, it's getting interesting. It's for sure. So let's try to catch up and get through a couple more of these and see where this is going, and see how
For sure.
the prosecutors handle this, because I think we had a nice little breakdown of half of this so far, and we still haven't gotten through everything from yesterday. So 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 we left off. He said, they asked her. They said, "Did you use drugs at every freak off?" And that's when she says, "Yes, I need to disassociate and become emotionless." They asked who else used drugs at the freak offs. She says Sean did. Sometimes the escort. Um, he said, "What other drugs did you use?" She said, "Special K, GHB, and mushrooms." He said, "Next, I'll read Sean's part of this email. You read. You read you." So she starts. She says, "When should I take the thing? When will you be there?" He says, pausing you there. "What did you mean?" She said, "Drugs." He said, "I took mines. I'm flying." I'm flying. Cloud nine. He says, "What does he
That's such a
mean?"
Diddy thing to say. That's such a
They
Diddy
asked,
thing to say.
then she asked, she had to cut because she had to say, "Well, what does he mean by that?" Cassie says, "He's high." She ain't know the lingo. She ain't know the slang. They, they asked, "Why did you take more
No, she knows
drugs?"
this. They know the slang. They know the slang,
They
but they
making sure
have to
everybody else know.
clarify, make sure every.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the course,
Yeah.
the stenographer gets everything.
hmm
Yeah, the court
So
stenographer, yeah. Hmm.
they asked, "Why did you take more drugs?" She says, "To not be present with the experience." She says, "Why?"
Oh my
She says,
God.
"Because it was something I hated."
She.
They asked, "How did you react to ecstasy and MDMA?" She says, "It could make me vomit." They asked, "What would he say?" She says, "To continue." They asked, shit was
Oh, there
crazy.
it is.
They asked, "Did you want to continue to have intercourse when you wanted to vomit?" She says, "No." She says, "How did GHB make you feel?" She said, "Drunk, tipsy." They asked, "Cocaine?" "Makes my heart race. I'm not a huge fan." "Mushrooms?" "The walls come alive." Judge says we'll take a break. They come back at 4:15 p.m. yesterday. Judge says you may continue. They said, or they asked, when drugs ran out, why did you know, or how did you know who to reach out to? She said Sean would tell me. They asked during the session, how would you know to move to the next step, whatever that means. A, Sean, and they said, "What would happen after the escort finished on you?" She
Oh
said,
Lord, this is wild.
she said, she said Sean would want it on his body in the next room.
Jesus.
She asked, "Did you do that?" She said, "I did." She asked,
Jesus.
Hey
"Where?"
yo.
What the fuck?
For clarity for the audience that's listening
Yeah,
right
yeah.
now,
Run that. Run
Diddy,
that back, bro.
Diddy wanted
Do we
niggas
have to
to
run it back?
bust in and on her,
Yes.
in and
He
on
what?
her, and then take take his load in the next room and rub it on his body parts,
Bro.
specifically and usually on his nipples. That's crazy. I
This
don't
dude.
understand. I don't understand. I don't even like a
Yo,
bitch touching
what?
my nipples.
Wait a
That's crazy.
minute.
Bro, that's crazy work, bro. He's like, touch my body.
Fuck.
Yo, this dude said.
It's
This dude said, fuck
crazy.
some
Yeah.
baby. This dude said, fuck some baby
With
oil. I'm
baby
trying to
batter.
lab her
He
up.
want
I'm
I
trying to
want
he
make
that.
wanted
that.
Cassie rubbing another
I
man's
want
baby
that.
batter all over him like it was
Mm.
sunscreen, nigga.
Mm.
I'm This is crazy.
In the
And you know he's
sunshine.
hella ashy afterwards. You know he's hella ashy
You
afterwards.
know
You
he's
know he
hella
probably need.
ashy,
You
bro.
But
know
then
how
What
again,
the
sticky it gets.
fuck?
he is the
Bro,
Johnson and Johnson king, so he probably is
bro.
never ashy. So
You know how
you know what I'm
sticky
That's
it
saying?
true.
gets.
You,
You know how
My
sticky
boy,
it gets.
you
glistening.
it
You
it
know how
sound like
sticky
it
it
was getting
gets.
real sticky here, nigga.
You know how sticky it
So
gets.
they then asked her, "Did you want to do that?" And she says, "No." She says, "How did you feel?" She says, "I
Then
was
don't do
an
it.
object." She says, "I was
Oh,
an
there it is.
object
There it
being
is.
heavily objectified by men.
There it
Sometimes
is.
he would watch by FaceTime." God damn,
Oh
he ain't even.
wow.
Hey, bitch, just go. Come on, yeah. I'm sending a nigga over there. Go fuck him right now. Put the phone back there. Yeah, I'm
What
ready to
the
get it in. Yeah, he
fuck?
just had live porno that he can direct. This was just his. It just she just makes it sound more and more like she was his personal porn star. Like as the and if
Yeah.
that's what it sounds like. You're my personal porn star. I want to be able to direct how you do these scenes, and I'm gonna
He
jerk
said
off and
direct,
stroke up.
molest, all
Yeah,
that.
just going crazy. They then
Damn.
asked, were some sessions recorded on your devices? Ventura, she says because they were there. They asked, if you saw them on your device, what would you do? She says, I would delete them. They asked why. She says they were disgusting. I never wanted anyone to see them. They asked,
Exactly.
were Sean's devices used sometimes? They said
Yep.
she answered yes. I asked him to delete them. They asked, did
Yep.
he? She says, I don't know. They asked, did you ever leave a freak off before it was over? She says, yes. At
Oh,
the
there you go.
Century City Intercontinental. I had
Uh,
finally had a a premiere coming up, and I didn't want to mess it up. But Sean hit me. It's very important.
oh
They asked,
shit.
at what point did Sean hit you? She said, between sessions. They asked,
Wow.
what happened next? She says, I got to the elevator. Next thing I knew, I was thrown to the ground. They asked, who threw you to the ground? She says, Sean. He grabbed me by the neck and by my hoodie. And they asked, let me show you the video. And they play the video for her.
No.
They ask then, what are you doing as the video plays? She says, trying to use the hotel phone. They ask, what is Sean doing? He's taking my phone in my bag. And then they break there for the day. Okay, that's where
Damn. What
they
a way
left
to let.
off.
What a way to leave it.
That's where they left off. So,
Damn.
it seems like he is already updating with what's going on today live.
Okay. Good. Okay.
So we're fortunate for us, we are able to pick right back up. So,
Damn.
this is where they're starting today. This is day 3. Okay, May
Jesus.
14th, in the inner city press is covering this. So, uh, we're back in here. So we're gonna jump straight into the questioning with Cassie. Um, Real quick, it says, we anticipate these witnesses being on cross examination for multiple days. We need to speak with them about security and transportation. Um, oh, also we had one from Alexandra Shapiro, and it says, I'm concerned that during the break there could be generalized discussions about the testimony and might come up. We're trying to avoid any privileged communications. Okay, so the defense, it says the defense has sent us a zip file of text messages. We are reviewing them before
Wait.
raising it.
Wow.
So that's what the defense did today.
Yeah.
Um, just trying to go over things of
Yeah.
note. It says our paralegal is printing them out, so they should be turned over. These exhibits to us. So the defense is. It looks like the defense is getting ready to be able to question Cassie today.
Cross
So let's jump
examine.
right
Yeah.
into.
Cross examine.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you jump right
Wow.
into it. It says, "All rise." They go under oath. Um,
It's still Cassie,
and
right?
Yes, this is still Cassie. So
So day
they
two of
asked
Cassie testimony.
day two of Cass. This is going into day two. This is today.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
about
Cassie
approximately
testimony. Yep,
45
yep.
minutes ago.
Okay.
So she says, Miss Ventura, I just handed you two drives. What is on them? She says messages and photos from my devices. So she never deleted. So I'm assuming this is what she turned into the FBI and they came to get, and this is what she hit Diddy with to get that 30 million. Okay, so she says yesterday you testified about Sean going armed to look for Suge Knight. So they're going back to the Suge Knight stuff. This is where they're starting today. She says Sean took guns with him, and she said they asked, and he told you to ask the escort if they were cops. She
Yep.
says, I would begin by saying I was not a cop herself. So that's what she would begin by saying. And she said, Sean told you to do that? She answered yes. Um, what happened when you fought back? Okay, jumping straight into it. He says, I did that more earlier in the relationship. It would make him more violent and want to push me harder. So she would use. So again, this is important. In the beginning of the relationship, she would fight back. It would make him more violent and want to push her harder. The defense says objection to the speculation. Judge says overruled.
Ooh.
They they ask how would Sean react if you fought back? She says anger. They says I'm going to show you the LA Intercontinental hallway again. Play from
Oh
a
man.
minute 43 to a minute 46. She says who enters? She says Sean. What's in his hand? He doesn't appear to have anything. Play 159. Now anything in his hand? She says my phone. They ask how did he get it? Well, he took it all. He took all my stuff. Where does he end up? She says, sitting in a chair in front of the window. He says, What are you doing? He says, I'm walking away from him. They ask, now who's this in the video? She says, me in security. They go in and she says, in this one, play from 531. Where did you go from the hotel? She says, to my house. I took an Uber. They ask, now let's turn to text messages. Can you read page 4? She says, please call. I'm surrounded. That's what she sent
Oh
to Sean, I'm
shit.
assuming. She says, who sent that? Um, she says, this is from Sean. He was running around in a towel. I told him to put a robe on. She says, who sent these green text messages? She says, I did. I wrote Sean. Jules left. As long as you're quiet, you can stay. Peace. She says, who is Jules? She says, an escort. Is this Jules? And he shows a photo. Is a photo shown with a big smile. She says, yes. Um, B606 and 607 side by side. This is Cassie in big sunglasses. She says, that's me, a selfie of me with a fat lip. They says, when did you take it? She says, in the Uber with one of my phones. They said, what did you write here? She said, I said, please stay away from me. They asked, that's another important one. They asked, and what does he say? He says, I'm getting arrested. They ask, was he? She says, I don't think so. They then ask, what did you write back? She says, plugging my phone in and going to bed. They then ask, who was at your home when you got there? She says, Carrie Morgan. She was upset when she saw me. She called the police. They ask, did you speak with them? She says, yes, but I didn't say who I was talking about and they left. She asks why. She says, I wasn't ready. They then ask, did Sean try to come to your apartment? Another important one. She says, yes, he was banging, and that was pretty normal for him. But this, a pretty private building, or this is a pretty private. I guess there's a typo. Um, they asked, did you hear from Miss Coran that day? She says yes, and I went to see D Rock and his wife to try to feel safe. She asks, in this photo, what are you doing? She says a gown and sunglasses. Oh, she says sorry. She says, what are you wearing? She says a gown and sunglasses. I had a black eye. She then
She's
asks, what if any other bruisings were visible? She says, I had several bruisings on my leg, but I changed clothes. She asks, what's this? She says, me and Sean at the after party. It's another case in point to what we were talking about earlier. She asks, I'm going to show you escorts. Do you know the name of this person? She says, no. They're going through escorts. She asks, in what cities did you use him? She says, New York City. She says, who's this? She says, Islander. He was one of the Latin men. We used him in LA and maybe Vegas. They ask, who's this? Show another photo. And that is at the 6 minute mark. That's exactly where they're at right now. Like they are still going. Okay, he got another update. He says, we called him Tommy. They said, who is this? He says, I know him as Greg, an escort in Miami. They're just going through picture after picture. They ask, who's this? She says, Jonathan. We saw him in Miami. They said, who's this? A red baseball cap backwards. Ventura says, I don't know. He looks familiar from the freak offs. She can't even keep up no more. She said, they asked, what did you write here? She says, this is all we do. I'm just getting back on track. I'm sure you can call Kim or something. They asked, what did you mean by this? This is all we do. She said, freak offs. Now, what did I say? What did I say?
oh shit. There it is.
Once you paint the picture that she
That
was
it's a
nothing,
consistent
there was
thing. Yep.
nothing going on. They
Yep.
don't have these normal talks. They don't have the regular relationship interactions. And she's sitting here saying, and I would love to see the response. I hope he updates us real quick with that. But when they're saying, when she's saying this is all we do, and they're specifically asking, well, what do you mean by that? And she's saying freak offs. That's it. I'll at least say this. The defense has to try to at least bring situations, instances, or bring, these things to light to say, well, what were you doing here? What was happening when you guys were together in this in
These
this area or at this time or whatever? You know what I'm saying? Because
Damn.
when she's saying stuff like this, it makes it harder and harder
Yep.
for
Diesel,
you to try to wiggle out of that. You know what I'm saying?
Diesel.
Yep.
Yeah, it was good.
This is what they do in behind the scenes, right? In their private life. You see, that's where.
Hmm.
You see, that's what I'm trying to come from y'all. It's like this is
Right.
what y'all do in your private life, right? This is what you do in the bedroom, and this is where like I said, reasonable, prudent people, right? Like I'm not about to be up here and tell you what me and my wife do in the bedroom. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Normal, reasonable, prudent people. Even
Yep.
if you and don't discuss. So when people say we're painting the picture, it's like, well, nobody cares what you do in the bedroom. If you're a freaky ass nigga, you freaky ass nigga. You know what I'm saying? Like if y'all freaky, y'all freaky.
Yeah.
You never float your boat
Have
to
you a
find yours for
69
more.
yacht? You know?
Exactly, exactly. Yeah, 69 God.
Yeah,
But
but
it's
this
like
this is getting into the relationship dynamic between the two of them. You know what I'm saying? Which I think it's also
They're
important because
segueing, like I said.
you
Like I
you
said, it's
yeah
an alley oop right now.
exactly.
It's an alley oop.
It's segueing into that, and it's like I said, you're trying to show the relationship dynamic to you want to paint Diddy as this monster that he doesn't see you as a woman if you're dealing with him. He doesn't see you as a person. He just sees you as a quote unquote cum rag. You know what I'm saying? So while they're when they're doing this, which is exactly what I would do if I was. I'd have been doing this yesterday. Like, and it's crazy that they're doing it now. I'd have been doing this yesterday. I'd have been asking her this shit. Yes, like wait. So what did y'all like? Is this all y'all did? Like, what was the relationship like? If I was the
Exactly.
prosecution or defense, I would be asking the same question. I would be trying to prove that if I was the prosecution, exactly this, or if I'm the defense, I'm trying to prove that we did have real interactions. We did have real talks. We did have a real relationship outside of the free coughs.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
I really think that, in my opinion, that is a key point to this and a key piece to seeing how Diddy interacts and looks at her.
But
Because
that's why I was saying that TMZ clip, right, is
mhm,
damning for the prosecution. Because let me tell you right now,
how?
he's a billionaire. If he wants a cum rag woman, he can get any woman he wants. Okay? Any woman he wants to be a cum rag. I hate to say it, shout out to the ladies out there. You know what I'm saying? But if he wants a cum rag, he can have it, as you can see. Okay? The fact that he brought, so I'm just working out. The fact that he brought her to vacations around the family shows that they had a legitimate relationship. Like, I mean, at least that's what it shows.
I don't think that necessarily shows that. And I don't
Oh,
necessarily think I think the video is the prosecution's number one weapon. I don't even think we
That's what
would
I'm
be
saying.
here
That's
in
what
this.
I'm
Diddy
saying.
would
I
not
think it's
even
the
be
only
here
weapon
in
they
this
have.
position. Diddy would not even
But
be in this position with no help and everybody saying, "Oh hell nah, we don't know about that."
yeah, we
If
don't
that
know.
video didn't
Uh,
come out. You think about it, Diddy had the support of a good amount of people still,
yep.
in even media outlets
Celebrities were denying
until
it. You had
until that
celebrities
video
denying
came out.
it. Yep.
Now, when the
Yep.
video comes out, it makes it easier for you to believe anything else we're going to tell you after. It's a snowball effect. Because if you believe he's capable of doing this, when we tell you he's capable of doing that, it's going to be a no-brainer. It's going to be a no-brainer. So I feel like that nigga, that's their number one weapon. That's a godsend to these niggas. Because
Mm-hmm.
they're everything that they're doing is going to play off of that video, which is why they keep going back to it. Because anytime the defense wants to sit here and say, well, she had an out, or she wanted to do this, they go back to that video and say, this is the moment where she said enough is enough. And she said she didn't want to do this anymore. This is video
Mm-hmm.
documentation of her doing exactly that. So, unless you come with something better than this video is doing a whole lot of work for the prosecution in my
Yep.
opinion.
Yep.
It's their foundation. They don't have a case without this video, if you ask me.
Yep. Yep.
So, I don't know.
here's
I think
here's
this
my
video
thing,
is
right? So the video shows that yes, she does not want to be part of this, right?
mhm.
But where the holes are getting punched in that video, and any good defense lawyer will tell you, it's you can't just be taken back by the evidence presented. A defense lawyer's number one job is to poke holes at the evidence to make it inadmissible. This is high, and this is straight from the Casey Anthony lawyer. He said this is why I won the case because we ended up poking holes in the evidence and making the evidence look like shit. So you can keep playing that video all you want, okay? But what they're establishing by cross examination is essentially poking holes because, again, yes, you ran away. That was one. How many times did this happen? Let's see some more evidence about that. Let's see some
Mhm.
more evidence of you doing just
But Mills.
beyond. But hold on. Going
Okay.
beyond, okay? Going beyond just running away. Who did you contact? Which authority? Which lawyer did you? What else did you do other than just run away?
But Mills. So to your point, I get where you're going with it, but it's the same. I akin it to. I said it earlier. I akin this behavior to a woman being married and being beaten by her husband.
You
You
scared of what you're
can't.
gonna do.
No,
Right.
no public defender, no public defender, no defense attorney, none. I don't think Brian Steele, with the balls that dude has, would even do that. You're not gonna walk up to this woman in a courtroom and basically say, "Why didn't you do that again? Why didn't you do that again?" You know how quick you're gonna lose the jury because the
Well, he's
jury's
not
just gonna
gonna.
be like, "Oh
No,
yeah, this
and
no,
dude's a
they're
and
piece
the
not
of
key
gonna
shit."
part of
say
that,
it.
like,
They're
and the
not
key
gonna say
part of
it
that,
like
like we
that.
said just earlier in that, they asked her, you know, in the beginning, would you fight? What would happen? And she said, like, in the beginning, I would fight back. In the beginning, I would, objectify and be like, no, I'm not doing that. Like, and that's when he was the most violent. You know what I'm saying? That's when he was
Yep,
the most violent
that's
with her.
I just think
So
that the
with
the
that,
the narrative that this video is ironclad should be taken
it
with not
is Mills.
it's not iron.
Where's the
No, I don't.
hole?
My thing is this: they've already been poking holes in it. They've already been
But
poking. It's
no, no,
not
no. But
ironclad.
Mills,
It's not
Mills.
ironclad.
But
It's
here's
not.
Mills. Here's
okay,
it's like
okay,
what
Just
Diesel
agree.
just
Y'all
said.
both
we
just
got some
agreed
more.
with me though.
We got some more
It,
updates. We got some more updates to
oh,
the
go ahead,
point. We
go ahead,
got
go
some more
ahead, go
updates
ahead,
to the.
go ahead, go
So
ahead.
they continued asking. So where we left off, where like I said, they said, "Is this?" They said, "What do you mean by this is all we do?" She said, "The freak offs." They asked, "Did you try to avoid anything in the freak offs?" She says, "I tried to avoid kissing. It seemed to be too intimate, but Sean told me to do it, to kiss the escorts." They asked, "What did Sean ask you to do on your 29th birthday?" She said, "A freak off." Uh, they she said, "I he had pulled me out of the blind dragon for the freak off, some security." They asked, "What about the blackmail material?" He wanted me to fear, and then they said objection. They overruled. Um, when would Sean mention the freak off videos? She says, "To hurt me." Um, she then acts. So again, they're establishing that she's doing these things. She doesn't want them to be recorded. He's recording them. She's telling him that, hey, delete them. And she says, I don't know if he deleted them or not, but I'm telling him to delete them. And now he's coming back and using this as blackmail material. Here is what they're basically saying. So, she says, okay, she says, one time I was dating someone else and he threatened to release the freak off videos. I'd have to answer to my mother. It's horrible and disgusting. No one should do that to anyone. They asked, what did Sean say the impact would be? She said, shame. They
See,
asked,
now we're
let
getting
me,
into something.
yeah, they says, let me show you a chat. Who's on it? They said, me and Sean. It's July 22, 2013. They said, read your message. She says, I wrote, please delete the videos off your phone. Too many people have access to your devices. He said, no iCloud, no good Ambien kicking in. No iCloud, all good Ambien kicking in. And that was literally a second ago. That was the last comment from literally a second ago. Let me see if you got more. And they just sidebar. Yes.
So
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 they just sidebarred.
so this is now we're getting somewhere. You see what I'm saying? Now we're talking about sextortion. That is criminal. See, now we're getting somewhere. I just believe, Phil. I refuse to believe the narrative that the video alone condemns him to jail. Now we're getting some. Now we're getting to the heart part six, the facts. Okay. Now we're getting to the facts. Now we're
Mm-hmm.
getting to. Now I can agree with the prosecution. Like, all right, lock that motherfucker up. Let's see. Now we're getting to the facts. But if you're gonna
Hey,
tell me
Diesel.
that your entire case is the only evidence that you're gonna present that's gonna send Diddy to jail for a year is a video. You people about to be upset. But now we're
Hmm.
getting
Yeah, most definitely.
So this is my thing, right? So this, I was gonna say real quick. So this is my thing, right? It's like that's Mills. That's what I was trying to tell you is this was all an alley oop. She just dunked it right now
Mhm.
because it's gonna segue. It's like what I was telling
right because
Diesel
now
earlier.
they're proving
It's gonna
coercion.
segue into the.
She was coerced.
It's
Mhm.
gonna segue into hiring the prostitutes, into flying these women out, all that stuff. I'm
Right.
telling you,
Yeah.
Well, now
today's
we're
gonna be a
seeing
big day.
but over here now we're seeing the coercion. You can't pronounce it there. It's coerce. She's being
Cohesion.
coerced
Coercion.
by being
Coercion,
Coercion.
coercion.
coercion,
She's getting coerced into by via sextortion and
coercion.
shame and defamation. So now we're
Yeah.
getting somewhere. You know what I'm saying? Now we have a case.
Yep.
Yeah. We most definitely do, and it's. I mean, I thought so before because even though he has room to fight, he does have room to fight. They're kind of with this information and with her, what she's saying. It's like, well, I got to see what y'all gonna come back with this one because this is hard. I feel like information like this is hard to fight around. You know what I'm saying? And this is basically, I guess, the gist of what we already know to be true. So, it 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 can continue to go from here and continue to get worse from here, which I think it will. But as they said, and we're gonna leave as far as the live updates, we're gonna leave it here for today and continue tomorrow when it picks back up when we have our day 3 recap. But yeah, just going off of what we reviewed today and and how everything is panning out, the defense has a lot of work to do. They have a lot of work to do. And even to, Mills, you mentioned,
Thank you.
the defense,
I like your
they're
glass.
going to poke holes in the argument and they're going to do certain things to, but at the end of the day too, and how I see it, poking holes into the argument doesn't necessarily mean that the jury is going to take it either. And just because you've presented, an out or an excuse, or you feel like you've poked hole in the argument sufficiently, it may not be enough for the jury, and that's what it really
Oh
boils
yeah, that's
down
how
to
they
at the end of the
lose.
day.
Yeah,
So
that's how they lose.
I feel like even if you look at the Tories case and you say, well, shit, there's not even any more polls to poke in this motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? But even still, he had to go through what he's going through right now. So poking, and even that case shows me, and it really showed me that poking holes in some shit is not enough. It's not.
Well, there's a litany of
You
wait, but
have to
let's
have the jury believe you
hold
and be on your
hold
side.
on. There's been a lot of murderers that beat a lot of cases because of that hole poking. Okay, a lot of murderers. That's why people say you gotta have the money to pay for the feds if the feds got you tapped, because there's a lot of people that have won a lot of cases. With Tory's case, we all know that it was some foul. Even in Peterson, when you listen to it, it was some foul play with his own lawyers being, according to him, allegedly, his own lawyers being paid off by the powers that be. So I wouldn't say that's a good example, because his
No,
lawyers, he definitely did not even have his evidence on a gun. And if it was anybody else, if his evidence wasn't on that gun or any other stuff, he wouldn't have went down. He wouldn't have gotten 10 years for an illegal gun charge.
yeah, but the holes were there. That's what I'm saying. At the end of the day, it's almost the perfect example because, as I said, there's no more holes to poke in the motherfucker. You poked every hole you can in that case. And at the end of the day, if you don't convince the jury, and then I say, and even to your point where you say, like, there's been plenty of people who beat the charge and beat murders and beat this and that. Well, show me who those people went up against. It wasn't a single pregnant mother. It wasn't that. It wasn't a helpless,
Young
woman
Thug, Young Thug
9
took on
times
the
out of
state of
10.
what?
But
What did
those are
Young Thug
men.
take on the?
Those are men we talking about. At the end of the day, the jury looks at a man on man violence versus a man on a woman violence completely. You got way more work to do on the right side. You got
Well,
way
you got
more
that
work to
right.
do in the case like this, because
You got
poking
that.
the
You got that
that,
right.
and that's why I say, and why I compare the two, because when you are going against a woman in today's day and age, poking holes, the truth, the facts, is not enough, my nigga. It's not enough. We seen the facts be presented with Tory Lanez. We seen the truth. We
Women
seen
say
the
men run the
lies.
world.
It's not enough. That's why I say you got to look at that person sitting across the aisle. You have to look at that person who you are battling against. Because if it's a woman, my nigga, oh shit, you better have the dream team behind you. You better have a dream team behind you. And DDG is damn near about to see the same type of shit, because you are in another situation and rolling down that road with Rock Nation, to where just look how this shit is going to play out. We don't nobody needs facts. They wishing his death. They don't care. They don't want facts. Women don't want no fucking facts. And I'm sorry, I gotta just say it like that, because sometimes when you're arguing with a woman, it's just an ongoing joke. It's just like a known thing, like, amongst men, that you don't argue women with logic. Okay, it's not gonna. They don't give a. They don't let a little thing like logic fuck up their argument. We all know that. So they gonna, if they feel like they want to win, they're gonna win. They're gonna say what they need to say. They're gonna do what they need to do, and they're going to paint that picture and narrative of you having a disagreement, or you having a scuffle or whatever. Like, my nigga, I've had disagreements with women and girlfriends before. I'm not no fucking, like, you know what I'm saying? But to think that you and a woman, you know what I'm saying, having a disagreement, or a bitch trying to get in your car, which literally happened to me. I'm trying to drive off, bitch trying to get in my, bitch just getting back in my, I'm like, bitch, get the fuck out my car. And I have to physically remove you from my car so I can leave this situation, leave your toxic ass, get out of here, so I'm not in a situation or trying to defend myself or have you hitting, or none of that. I'm trying to get out of the situation. These bitches will put themselves in your car, in your space, while you're trying to remove yourself, and still be like, oh yeah, this nigga slammed my head against the steering wheel 3 times. I got a chipped tooth. And bitch, I was trying to leave. I told you to get the fuck out my car, just like DDG said. So I know firsthand, because I'm sitting here looking at this shit like, well, goddamn. Hey, what, at any point a bitch can just come up here and be like, well, this nigga Diesel a couple years ago whooped my ass. Like, you feel me? So I don't take kindly to that kind of shit, because you got to be on your P's and Q's. And let me just say for the record, that would never happen. You know what I'm saying? Me and all my exes, we got hella love. They love me. I love them back. It's all love right here. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna
Regardless,
just
that
leave it
wouldn't
back
happen to
there.
me because I
But
would call the cops.
when you're dealing with a person and you're trying to remove yourself, and you're dealing with a toxic person, and you have them literally destroying your property, throwing your things, you're trying to remove yourself, my nigga, it tensions flare up. You can be in these situations, and it's not necessarily a situation where you have to be putting your hands on a woman. But the way these women phrase these situations and build these narratives around these situations, you got to look at it and be like, well, bro, I don't even want to be 10 feet to, you know what I'm saying? So I don't know, man. The situation is crazy. I know it's gonna continue to build, and we're gonna continue to get more updates, and this is gonna be a crazy case. You know what I'm saying? So we are at the about the 2 hour 30 minute mark, and yeah, I want to let you guys get your shit off and maybe give y'all closing statements, and yeah, it's a lot going on. So whoever want to go first, it's up to y'all. I don't give a damn.
you know, I'll go first, I suppose. Yeah, man. Like I agree with everything you was just saying, man. Like in the sense of like the imagery and the false narratives that get put out about a lot of shit, and I find that that's where my like they say women say men run the world and all that, but yet there's so many things where women have control over that can really destroy a person's life
Mm-hmm.
and false narratives, lying. I can go down the list of men who have been lied on, whose lives are forever altered. Some people actually killed themselves because of lies.
Simple
People's,
shit. Yeah.
I mean, we had a whole governor in New York be removed by a false sexual assault allegations. Had to step down and resign.
Mm-hmm.
So and later on, and they always put this shit on blast, but they never put when the women recant and say it was a lie or whatever. They always put that shit on blast. Drake, one of our favorite artists, was accused of a sexual assault. Comes to find, paid the lady. Came to find out it was a lie. Like
Mm-hmm.
these are the shit that people do, and they don't realize that women have more power in society
Yeah,
today
and
than they've had
sometimes
ever before to
it's
ruin some
easier to pay
lives.
a
And
bitch than
but
to just go
right,
through with this shit.
right, because you don't want to deal with this shit. You know what I'm saying? And they use that to their leverage. And then you have the female chauvinists continuing the doctrines that tell women that they're belittled and they're all these that they're not shouldn't be a trophy wife and all these stupid shit. And then women want to know why men aren't approaching them in American society. When men want to know why they're not getting married on them because of what how y'all act. Nobody wants to deal with that shit. Nobody wants to be Nobody wants to be considered a creep. Nobody wants to
Mm-hmm.
be considered a sexual harasser and all the negative things that the female chauvinist doctrine has said about men. So guess what? We going
Mm-hmm.
foreign, baby. We going to Colombia. We going to any other country where women don't act like that, who are submissive to their men and treat them like a woman, like a man should be treated, and vice versa. And then the man returns with respect, dignity, protection, love, and all that. But
Mm-hmm.
these men are being ostracized, demonized by the American female white chauvinists. So yeah, you have a point when he says that when especially and it happens in the court, it happens with child support. It happens
Mm-hmm.
on multiple levels. Divorce. Women hold the keys to sex. Men hold the keys to marriage, and women hold the keys to divorce. They are the reason. They're the ones that are 70% of women are initiating divorce in society. So when we talk about those things, everything I just said supports your argument of the imagery of the narratives that could be used against a man in a case. So you
Mm-hmm.
got, and that's exactly what Diddy is fighting on. But I just don't, I don't think that in certain situations, like I said, that's one part of the play, and that's what they're playing with, right? And they're painting and everything. But now, in terms of condemning him to a jail cell for the rest of his life or whatever exuberant amount of time that he is gonna get, and rightfully deserve to get, that you have to support that with some other facts. Like now that they're going into this sextortion, yes, she was if she was sextorted because you came to her, she came to him for a record deal. This turn, yes, it might have been consensual at first for a long time, but then everybody doesn't matter when if you give consent, you can always take consent back. So she gave consent. Shit got weird and a little freaky. She didn't want to pull away, and he sextorted her. So now they're getting into the supporting evidence. That's what I'm trying to get at. You need supporting evidence in addition to that video, in addition to the narrative that you're building, to build a case to put this man away. And if as long as they continue to bring these supporting evidence of coercion, of sextortion, Diddy's going away. But if you're just gonna tell me that, oh, this is just keep looking, play that video again. Oh, look at that
Mm-hmm.
video again, bro. People are gonna be upset. People are gonna be like, oh, the justice system is unfair, and Diddy should be in jail. Yeah, Diddy should be in jail, but there's been cases, a litany of cases, bro, that have been mishandled. The Freddie Gray case, mishandled, mad like Philando Castile. I can go down mishandled by prosecution or defense lawyers or whatever. Just completely, it's a shady business. Mistrials, the whole OJ case was a mistrial because of how the police collected the evidence and the fact that the police were white. They were using narratives. It was narratives that got OJ off. It wasn't the facts because the facts was that motherfucker killed that bitch. We all know that. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? So yeah, I get where you're coming from. You make a good argument, and it's an important argument that there should be for your listeners and everybody listening. It is an important argument, and it's an important to explain it and talking about this case is that this narrative against man versus woman in the United States of America, and it's not even just black and white. She's a woman at the end of the day, right? So
Facts.
And you're talking about you're 2025. You know what I'm saying? DEI all over the place. You know what I'm saying? So that's my thing. But yo, can I just plug my show? I'm going
Of
on X
course.
today for a space. I might be doing two spaces today, depending on how much energy I have. You know, your brother working night shift, but we going live with episode one of Shiesty Politics. Shiesty Politics talking Ozempic prices being cut by the executive order issued by May 12th. Friendly fades only. Shiesty Politics. Friendly fades only coming to you at 1 o'clock. Hopefully it's 1 o'clock today. So and then later today we'll be talking about hip hop. We're talking Ye, Drake, and whatever else everyone talking with.
Yeah,
Possibly
man.
special
Go ahead and
guests.
follow my man Insta
Possible,
page up on there.
yeah, facts. Possible special guest tonight or tomorrow night, Vodka, who makes this guy. Go ahead if you don't go follow at Vodka. This man makes objective videos and objective investigative documentary like videos about hip hop culture, and hip hop history. So go ahead and follow him, and we're gonna have him as a special guest tonight or tomorrow night. We'll see what we're doing.
Bet. Yeah, I heard the man. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead and tap in with your boy, man. Uh, DJ K Dub, you got anything you want to close out with?
Um, y'all hear me?
Yeah, we
Y'all
hear
hear
you.
me?
Loud and clear.
Okay. Nah, just stay tuned for more mixes on the TL. You know your boy OVO Insider. So anything to do with OVO, please go stream Naomi Sharon's new EP, The Only Love We Know. Go stream Roy Wood's Dark Nights album. Yeah, man. OVO Sound 2025. Let's get it.
That's a fact. That's a fact.
Oh, on that note, go ahead and vote for Drake. Vote for Drake for Male Artist of the Year and Sexy
Oh yeah,
Songs
I
for
did
You
that
as
last night.
R&B album. Man. I did that last night. Go ahead if you. Last night was the super vote day. So if you vote once, it counts like for 25 or something like that. So go ahead and do that on Instagram.
Yeah, fact. You can do that on Instagram, and I believe you could do it like how I did it as well. On if you don't want to do it on there or you don't got Instagram, go ahead and just do it on the browser or on the website. And I believe it's just the AMA's website. They have an official website. So yeah, go there and do your due diligence and make sure that some sexy songs get R&B album of the year because we need that. We definitely need that. Okay, and let me just go ahead and pull this up if I got the link. Actually, I don't got the link, but fuck that. Y'all can look it up yourselves. Y'all niggas know how to get into the AMA votings and shit like that. It ain't that hard, but I'm not about to get too much free promo. But yeah, um, I appreciate you guys for stopping in. It was definitely a pleasure, and we're gonna get into more of this Diddy stuff. Tomorrow, I'm gonna be locked in. As I said, I'm running off of 5 hours of sleep for the last 2 days. Hip hop has been going crazy, and I mean, fuck it, I love it. You know what I'm saying? It keeps me going, and it keeps me giving you guys content. It keeps me in Doja room. So I'm gonna keep on dropping this content. So if you have stayed with us this far, please hit the video with a like button. I would greatly appreciate it. I thank you for stopping by. Comment, repost if you're on X. We always appreciate that too. Please tap into the official playlist of the Doja Room. That's Diesel's Doja and Melodic Ice on Spotify only. On Spotify only. You can go there, fuck with those playlists, and as I said in the past episode, we can take power back into our hands when we make ourselves the curators and we help and support our own communities of what I'm saying, like community playlists, things like that. So we can do our due diligence that way, and we can help ourselves rise that way, and we can put money back into our hands. So again, please check those out. And if you're an artist, tap in with me. Let me put you on some of the playlists and put you in the ears of some of these people who've never heard you before and who are fans of the Doja Room, who come in on a regular. So it'll be a great experience, and it'll be a great thing for you guys. I already got some of you guys on there who've been reaching out, so I appreciate you guys for reaching out and tapping in with the music. Again, if you guys are fucking with the outro, I seen a couple of you hit me up. The outro is called Special Sauce by your boy Dope Boy Diesel. Okay, if you fuck with the intro, I appreciate the love for that one. So for those who hit me up about the intro, it's called Special Sauce by Dope Boy Diesel. I'm on all platforms, and I appreciate you guys for tapping into the Doja Room today. That's all I got for you guys. To all my stoners, hippies, and hip hop enthusiasts, this is all it. This is the Doja Room show today. This is day 3 of Diddy, or day 2 actually, but we're on day 3. But this is a day 2 recap. So I appreciate you guys stepping in, and we're gonna have more for you tomorrow. Join us then, and I'm out. All right.